Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight's story is one that many people around the world are struggling to believe. But inside Iran, especially inside Tehran, it is being felt every single minute. The capital of the Islamic Republic, a city of more than 10 million people, is facing a nightmare scenario that no modern megacity is prepared for. Tehran's main water lifelines are failing. Entire districts are running dry. Pumps have stopped, pipelines have ruptured, reservoirs are critically low, and officials are quietly admitting what they cannot publicly say out loud. Tehran is running out of water. This is not a temporary shortage. This is not a routine maintenance issue. This is a full-scale water collapse unfolding in real time. And as the taps run dry for ordinary citizens, something else is happening behind the scenes. Senior clerics, regime insiders, and powerful families are reportedly fleeing the capital, moving to safer regions, foreign properties, and guarded compounds where water, electricity, and security are still guaranteed. While millions of ordinary Iranians stand in long lines with empty containers, the elite are escaping. Tonight, we are going to break down exactly how Tehran reached this point, why the water system has collapsed, what this means for 10 million people trapped inside the city, and why this crisis could become the final blow to a regime already hanging by a thread. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear explains not just a water shortage, but the slow-motion evacuation of a capital city and the unraveling of state control in Iran. Tehran was never meant to be a city of this size. Built in a semi-arid region, dependent on fragile aquifers, aging dams, and mountain runoff, the city expanded far beyond its natural limits. Over decades, population growth exploded. Rural communities were pushed into the capital by economic collapse, sanctions, mismanagement, and lack of opportunity elsewhere. Tehran became a pressure cooker, holding more than 10 million residents in an ecosystem that could barely support half that number. For years, experts warned that water was Tehran's greatest vulnerability. Iran's climate has grown harsher, rainfall patterns have changed, snowpack in the Alborz Mountains, which feeds many of Tehran's reservoirs, has declined sharply. Rivers have dried up. Groundwater has been over-extracted to the point where the land itself is sinking. Entire neighborhoods have experienced subsidence, roads cracking, buildings tilting, and pipes breaking underground. The regime knew all of this, engineers knew, environmental scientists knew. Even internal government reports acknowledged that Tehran's water system was approaching a point of no return. But instead of reform, investment, and conservation, the state chose corruption, denial, and propaganda. Money that should have gone into repairing pipelines and modernizing infrastructure was diverted to security forces, foreign militias, missile programs, and elite lifestyles. Now, the consequences are unavoidable. Reports from inside Tehran describe entire districts receiving water for only a few hours per day, if at all. In some neighborhoods, taps have been dry for days. People are waking up before dawn to fill buckets when water briefly returns. Hospitals are rationing usage, schools are closing, bakeries are shutting down because they cannot operate without water, sanitation systems are failing, increasing the risk of disease outbreaks in densely populated areas. 10 million people without reliable access to water is not just a humanitarian crisis. It is a city-wide emergency that threatens total collapse. Water is not optional. Without it, everything stops. Public transport, hospitals, food production, firefighting, waste management, and basic hygiene all depend on water. When water disappears, order disappears with it. Inside the regime, panic is growing. While state television continues to downplay the situation, insiders are making quiet moves. According to multiple reports from Iranian social media and dissident networks, high-ranking clerics and officials have begun leaving Tehran. Some have relocated to northern provinces near the Caspian Sea. Others are moving assets abroad. Families of senior figures are reportedly being flown out under the cover of routine travel. This behavior tells us more than any official statement ever could. When leaders flee, it means they know the system is failing. When those who control the state no longer trust it to provide basic survival, the legitimacy of that state collapses. The idea of evacuating Tehran would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. Today, it is being whispered in emergency meetings. A city of 10 million cannot be easily evacuated, but partial evacuations are already happening in practice. Those with money, connections, or power are leaving. Those without are being left behind to face the consequences. For ordinary Iranians, this crisis feels like betrayal layered upon betrayal. Many remember previous water protests in cities like Isfahan, Khuzestan, and Shiraz, where farmers and residents took to the streets demanding access to water. Those protests were crushed with force. Promises were made, nothing changed. Now the same disaster has reached the capital itself. Anger is rising fast. Videos circulating online show residents shouting at officials, blocking roads, and chanting slogans against the regime. Water trucks are being mobbed. Clashes have broken out in some areas between desperate residents and security forces trying to control distribution points. The government's response has been inconsistent, sometimes offering reassurances, sometimes threatening punishment for spreading panic. But panic does not need to be spread when the tap is dry. Reality speaks louder than propaganda. This water collapse is also exposing the deep inequality inside Iranian society. While ordinary people ration every drop, luxury neighborhoods linked to regime insiders reportedly still have access to water through private wells, tankers, and secured pipelines. This disparity is fueling rage. People are asking why their children cannot drink clean water, while the elite maintain swimming pools and gardens. The psychological impact of this crisis cannot be overstated. Water scarcity creates fear at a primal level. It strips away dignity. It forces people to make impossible choices. Do you wash your hands or save water for drinking? Do you clean your child or save water for cooking? In a city of millions, these questions multiply into collective trauma. Economically, the damage is catastrophic. Businesses are shutting down. Daily wage workers are losing income. Food prices are rising as production and transport are disrupted. Inflation, already crushing Iranian households, is accelerating. For many families, survival is becoming a daily struggle. Politically, this crisis may be the most dangerous challenge the regime has faced in years. Protests driven by ideology can be suppressed. Protests driven by hunger and thirst are far harder to control. Security forces need water too. Police stations, bases, and barracks are not immune to shortages. When the system fails everyone, loyalty becomes fragile. Internationally, the situation is drawing quiet concern. Neighboring countries are watching closely. A destabilized Tehran has regional implications. Refugee flows, internal displacement, and potential unrest could spill beyond Iran's borders. Yet the regime's isolation and mistrust of foreign assistance make external help unlikely to arrive in time, even if it were offered. Some officials are attempting to blame climate change alone, others blame foreign sabotage, and some blame overconsumption by citizens. But the truth is clear. This crisis is the result of decades of mismanagement, corruption, and prioritization of power over people. Climate stress exposed weaknesses, but it did not create them. As days pass without a solution, the idea of a controlled evacuation is becoming less absurd and more desperate. Moving even a fraction of Tehran's population would overwhelm infrastructure across the country. Other cities do not have the resources to absorb millions of displaced people. This means that for most residents, there is nowhere to go. They are trapped between a collapsing system and a state that has lost the ability to protect them. The symbolism of this moment is powerful. Tehran is not just a city, it is the heart of political power in Iran. If the capital cannot provide water, it cannot claim competence, authority, or divine legitimacy. The image of mullahs fleeing while ordinary people thirst will remain etched in public memory long after this crisis passes, if it passes at all. Some analysts believe this could be a turning point, the moment when environmental collapse becomes political collapse. Others warn that the regime may respond with even harsher repression to maintain control. Both outcomes are possible. What is certain is that Iran has crossed a line from warning to reality. For the people of Tehran, every day now begins with uncertainty. Will water come today? For how long? Will protests erupt? Will security forces respond with violence? Will food prices rise again? This constant anxiety erodes trust, patience, and hope. History shows us that regimes rarely fall because of a single event. They fall because of accumulated failures that finally become impossible to ignore. A city without water is one of those failures that cannot be explained away. As this situation continues to unfold, the world is witnessing something unprecedented. A modern capital city slowly drying up, its leaders quietly escaping, and its people left to endure the consequences of decades of neglect. We will continue to monitor this crisis closely, because what happens in Tehran in the coming weeks could reshape Iran's future and send shockwaves far beyond its borders. If you found this analysis important, make sure to stay connected, because this story is far from over. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.